Hello, AP Human Geography students. This is Ms. Freiberg, and I am coming to you today to bring you an amazing case study on religion. We are going to be examining the country of Kazakhstan and some questions about religious freedom there, in addition to some historical background on a denomination of Christianity in the United States. So without further ado, let's go ahead and have a conversation about religion. All right, so in this article that you guys are going to be reading today, the first one is about religious freedom in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is this country sort of to the southwest of Russia, and it's this massively enormous country right here. And I don't know why I got that huge pen. Let's go ahead and go here. So it's this country right here. All right, and the focus of it is in the capital city of Astana, and that's approximately where the dot is on the map. So as you can see, we also have a couple of other places that feature in our conversation in the article. We have Afghanistan, which is of course to the east of Iran and to the west of Pakistan. We also have India, which is right between both the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, so we've got that right here. And then we have Indonesia, which is this collection of islands down here. Okay, so we've got Indonesia. And then we've also got Laos, all right, which is this country right above Thailand. And between, it's this long sea, it's got this narrow right between. So it's above Thailand and to the east of Myanmar and to the west of Vietnam. So these are sort of the countries that feature in this particular article. The focus of the article is on this question of religiosity versus secularism, and secularism is sort of the absence of faith or belief. And so I want you guys to sort of pay attention to some of the other conversations that are happening and the question of religious freedom, freedom from religion or freedom to be religious. So I think there's like an interesting question there about which one has more value, and Kazakhstan has definitely seemed to push the envelope in a particular direction as far as that is concerned. That's it for our places in this article for the first article. Our second article is about the Church of the Latter-day Saints and the origin there and the migration that they took in order to come west. In the United States, the Church of the Latter-day Saints, or the LDS Church, or are Mormons by practice. They practice, so that sort of is the denomination that we're talking about. So a couple of places that we deal with in the article. The article is actually just more of sort of like I took it from a website that has to do with sort of like a very brief synopsis of history for sort of the Mormon faith. And the reason why is because I think it features with some frequency on the AP test. So I want you to know some of the sort of the background of the Mormon faith, but also because it presents some very interesting parallels to our migration unit, specifically in that idea that the origin hearth of Mormonism is in New York State. It was sort of founded by a man named Joseph Smith, and you'll read about that a little bit in the article. Because of persecution, Mormon, both Joseph Smith and his followers, made their way out of New York and wound up in Missouri. And in Missouri, there was actually, they spent some time in Missouri, and in Missouri there was actually a kill order that was issued against Mormon faith. So they were definitely persecuted by other Christians because of some of the conflicting beliefs, and you will in fact be reading about that in the article. After that, they went to Illinois, where Joseph Smith was actually killed by an angry mob. At that point in time, the leadership of the church was taken over by a gentleman named Brigham Young, which many of you probably recognize from BYU or Brigham Young University. And eventually they made their way out to Utah Territory and eventually founded the city of Salt Lake, and eventually were able to sort of rejoin the United States in the state of Utah. So some very interesting sort of like history there. I hope you enjoy the article. Again, it's not an article per se in the sort of the traditional sense of the article, but it should give you some interesting history on a very fascinating moment of religious migration in the United States. So, having said all of this, I want to quickly remind you of some of the important the focus of this particular chapter, which is that religion is an essential mental fact to understanding culture. In other words, if you want to understand a culture, a particular culture, you have to understand the religion of that culture. And so if you go to Utah, for instance, where sort of the current cultural hearth of Mormonism is, you have to understand Mormonism in order to understand Utah, right? If you go to Saudi Arabia, you have to understand Islam, and specifically Wahhabi Islam, in order to understand Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. So religion represents a very important mentefact to any culture. Until next time, boys and girls, I'll see you in another video.